YouTubers. This one here is the Flashfish G300 portable power station. I have seen some of these portable power stations before, and these are more of like budget-friendly power stations. They're not gonna break the bank. They might not have all the latest bells and whistles, but they are reasonably priced, and they seem to be pretty good quality. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull everything out. Now, this was packaged a little nicer. I just stuck it back in the box so you guys could see, you know, how it was packaged, but I believe all these accessories were in that box, I'm pretty sure. I was just being lazy. I didn't package it all back nice. I hate doing unboxings. But anyways, it comes with this little USB light. Let's set that aside. Then you've got a cigarette lighter to a barrel connector. You can charge it that way. And then this is a way for you to plug in a barrel connector, and you can get 12-volt cigarette lighter power through that barrel connector. I'm gonna go ahead and pull the accessories box out of here. We'll go ahead and open it. And this one here has a 60-watt charging brick. So you've got your charging brick, and then you got your cable that plugs into it, your AC cable. So this plugs into the wall, this plugs into your power station. And then the power station's packed in there nice and tight. It's got foam all the way around it. And I've already been playing around with this thing. And gotta say, it's a pretty nice power station. It is small. It's one of the smallest ones that I've ever tested. But it is made really well. And I gotta say, not real sure what the outer housing is on this thing, but it is made out of metal. So I've got a magnet on the bottom of this flashlight, and I'm gonna test it and see if it's steel or if it's aluminum. And it is aluminum. It's not sticking to it, so it's some sort of aluminum alloy. And I gotta say, it does feel really, really strong. I mean, seriously, I mean, the housing on this thing, I mean, you ain't gonna budge that. So I gotta say, it's built really well. Got some Phillips head screws there in the bottom, some non-slip grip feet on the corners, and then got a nice handle on it, I gotta say that. So, and it's pretty lightweight. The unit weighs right around 5.6 pounds, and when I say it's small, it is pretty small. I'll go ahead and get you some measurements on it. It measures 9 7/8 inch long, 3 3/4 wide, and it measures 6.5 inches tall. And when I say tall, I mean to the very top of that handle there. Now there is some flex in it. You can mash it down just a little bit and it goes a little bit smaller, but while the handles arch like that, it's 6.5 inches to the very top. So I forgot to mention that with the accessories there, it has this manual here, and I gotta say, it's not really, you know, long and drawn out like a lot of manuals. It's pretty direct and to the point, and it's of good quality. You can actually read it and understand it. This here has a lithium-ion battery on the inside, and it's rated for over 800 plus cycles. It is 222 watt hours of capacity, so you know, it's not huge, but this is a really small portable power station, and it seems to work really well. And the reason I say that about it being plain Jane is you can see right here on the back, it's got just your typical rocker power button. So whenever you turn that on, then you can see right here it turns on the display here on the front. And you know, as far as the front display, you know, it's not like it gives you a numerical battery capacity from like 0 to 100. It has like an old style bar graph on it, and so each bar represents a certain amount of power, and so once it starts getting lower, then you know you're starting to run out of power. So that's what I mean by that. And then it has, you know, just your old style push button for when you want to turn the DC power on and off, and you can see right there, it's just an old style push button. On the front, you can see that you've got, you know, a quick charge 3.0 ports. There's 3 of them there on the bottom, and there's some vents here on the bottom where you can allow the air to be pulled in. And then right here you've got a DC 1 and a DC port. It says they are 12 volts, 10 amps max. And then when you turn the unit around to the back there, you can see there is a DC input port. And then here on the bottom, you've got 2 110 volt DC outlets, and they are at 60 hertz. So just playing around with this power station, I gotta say, one of the one things that I would love to see on this will be some USB-C PD ports. Like I said, the only ports that's on here for charging your phones and things like that is just the Quick Charge 3.0, and there's 3 of those. But it would be nice to put some USB-C power delivery ports there on it, and that way you could charge your phones and devices a lot faster. So that's my only complaint. And then, you know, I'm sure some of you guys might like to see some wireless charging. That's what I said. This is a very basic portable power station, and you know, it, like I said, it don't have all the bells and whistles because this power station's been out a few years, but they're still selling it, and it's actually gotten some really great reviews. I was reading some of them today, and a lot of people were talking about being able to power their CPAP machine with these DC inputs for the barrel connectors, and you know, a lot of people were talking about running their CPAP machines on it, and so think this is just a really neat power station. Now, like I said, the battery capacity on this thing, 222 watt hours. So it's not a huge power station by no means, but you know, I was reading one of the reviews today, and a guy said that he used this to power up his computer. That way he wouldn't have to buy a battery, like another replacement battery for his laptop. So he just takes this into the cafe where he's at, plugs it in, and it gets power. So anyways, if you're in a situation like that, you can run quite a bit of stuff off this. I know you could run like a TV and maybe a DVD player and just some smaller electronics and things like that. You know, this is a pretty neat little power station. I showed you that this unit had a charging brick with it, and I'm gonna show you where that you plug it in to charge the unit. You plug it in right there where it says DC input, and then once you plug it in, you'll see here on the front that it says fully charged, and then I'm going to unplug it. It takes it a second, but then it disappears, and you know, that's what I say, it's kind of a little bit old school, but it still does the job. It also comes with a cigarette lighter plug where you can plug this up in your car, and then again you would plug it in on the back, because that is where the input is, and the input is where you charge the unit. The output is over to the front where you can use these barrel connectors to plug in their little accessories right here, and you plug it in like that, and that gives you a cigarette lighter port. And if you're wondering what you can do with that, I've got a 12-volt cigarette lighter fan here, and you just turn it on, and then you have to, like I said, you have to mash this button here in the front for the DC power to turn on. So it takes a second, but then you can see that it powers that fan no problem. And then also they give you this USB light where it can plug into a USB port here on the front, and you can see that, you know, gives you some light. And if you want to turn the DC off, just mash that button, and you can see there's a slight delay, but it turns it off. All right, just to prove that this is a pure sine wave, I went ahead and got this little jumper wire plugged into the back of the unit there, and then I've got a watt meter there on top, and I'm fixing to probe the wires right here in this little box. And you can see right there that it is pure sine wave, nice and clean, distortion free. And then if you look right here, and then it tells you it's at 112.8 volts at 60 hertz. And I hope you guys can read that nice and clear. And I'm going to go through and run a load test on it, and we're going to test this out and see what all she can do. All right, so now we have got a ton of stuff laid out here, and we're going to do a load test on this thing. And I'm telling you, there's a lot of stuff here plugged up into this. Now, first things first, I'm going to run you through everything that's plugged up and tell you about it. And first, we've got this little USB light that comes with the unit, and we've got it plugged in there. And then we have a splitter plugged in there to where it goes to these 3 USB lights. And, well, there's a splitter in there, and the splitter goes to 2 of the USB lights, and then the other USB goes to the 3rd USB light there. So all 3 of those lights are plugged in. And then right here in the barrel connector here on the front, the one that a lot of people use for the CPAP machines, I have a cigarette lighter port plugged in right there, and I have this a 12-volt fan right here, and it's plugged in. And then that's all for the DC side. But for the AC side, I have a box fan here on the floor, just a big box fan. I'm gonna run it on the highest setting, and then I've got a hair dryer, the same puts out like 150 watts, 150, 60, 70 watts, somewhere in there. And I'm gonna be running it on low because it does go up to roughly around 1,000 watts on high surge. And then the other AC device that I have is this halogen desk lamp. And I think it uses exactly 25 watts. So I think that's all the AC power that we're gonna have. And so I'm gonna go ahead and turn the DC power on. And you can see that it lit up this little USB light. And then I'm gonna flip the switch on these USB light bulbs. And if you're interested in these things are amazing. They only use 5 watts of power each. And they're made by VT Power. I'll put a link down in the description for them. You can get 4 of the light bulbs in 2 splitters where it splits it off from 1 USB to 2 for like 25, somewhere around $25, somewhere in there. But I'll put a link for it in the description. Let's go ahead and plug everything else in. We're going to go ahead and turn this fan on. You can see that it's getting power. It's blowing out. It's only 1 speed. And then let's see. I'm going to go ahead and turn the halogen light on. Go ahead and turn the box fan on. And right here on the watt meter, before I turn on the hair dryer, it shows right here on the watt meter that it's using 93.5 watts. Now I'm going to go ahead and turn the hair dryer on, and we're going to see where that puts it. So right now it shows that it's 242.3 watts of power. So that's not including the DC products that I have plugged in here. You know, the fan, the lights, that's not including any of that. This is just, what it's reading here is just your AC power. So 242.4 watts now. So I gotta say it's pretty impressive. It's putting out somewhere close to the, I would say 260 watt mark. It's not quite up to 300, but I don't have anything else that I can plug in there to get it right up to 300. But you can see that it runs all this no problem. But next, we're going to overload it and see if this thing cuts off like it should. And we're going to turn the hair dryer up to high, and we're going to watch and see how high the wattage goes on the watt meter here. So let you get focused in on that. And then watch my thumb there when I push up on the switch and turn this on high. Watch the watt meter go crazy and it'll jump up in wattage. It's at 242.5 now. Watch. Oh man. It surged a little bit and it cut off. But you can see the DC is still running, and that's exactly what it's supposed to do. It just lets you know, and it's flashing there on the screen. And it's saying that the AC is, there's too much for it. So it cut off like it should. And it did its job. Now as far as resetting the unit, I would say that you probably have to turn the hairdryer back off. And then you probably turn the unit off. I turned it off. And once you turn it off, the DC still runs until you turn that button off. So even with the main unit off, in the off position, I can turn the DC button on and just run the DC accessories. And I really like that feature because if you turn the unit off, that means that the AC power there's no chance that it's going to turn on, and that means the inverter is not running, and so it's going to be good for conserving your power. You know, when your inverter is turned on, it's using power, and so with it turned off and just the DC accessories running, you know that it's going to be very efficient. And I would say with everything here on the table and those 3 lights, the 3 lights in this fan, I would say that's probably around 25 watts, somewhere in there or less. So that's pretty impressive compared to, you know, this one halogen light uses 25 watts of power, but it's AC. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and turn it on back. You can see right there, the AC is back on. The light lit back up. The fan is going over here. And I'm going to turn the... Oops, sorry, the fan fell over. But now I'm going to go ahead and turn the hair dryer back on. I'm going to turn it on low. And now it's showing 242.1 watts. And then I'm going to show you again. I'm going to overload it again just so you guys can see it one more time. Watch this when I kick it up on high. It surged a few times and then it cut out. So that's exactly what you want. So I wanted to mention that there's several different ways that you can charge this portable power station. You can use the cigarette lighter port in your vehicle and plug it in there, and then plug this into the back and let it charge that way. Or you can plug in the charging brick and plug it in this way. And now that I've run some of the battery down in it during the testing a while ago, you can see now it shows when I plug it in, it says charging right there on the screen. So like I said, it's very basic. And then the third way you can charge it is just by hooking it up to a solar panel. So if you do decide that you want to use a solar panel to charge this with, you would plug it in right there, the same DC input as the cigarette lighter port and the charging brick. You just plug it right in there, and you can use a solar panel of 60 watts or less. So, you know, it doesn't give an idea of how long in the manual that it takes to charge the device with these 3 different charging methods. It doesn't tell you how many hours, but I would say that it would take, I'm just guessing, probably 4 or 5 hours on a good sunny day to be able to recharge this thing. Now, I'm just guessing at it. I don't know for sure. I have not tested it with a solar panel. I've not tested it with a car. I have played around with it with a charging brick, but you know, I haven't ran through and completely tested it to see how long it takes. Anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this video. I got to say, pretty impressed with the unit. Like I said, it's very basic. It's very lightweight, and you know, if you just need something to take along with you, it's got a good carrying handle, and you know, it seems to be comfortable in your hand. It doesn't weigh a whole lot. And, you know, it's not going to provide a whole heck of a lot of power, but, you know, in a pinch, you know, you can actually run quite a bit of stuff off of it, believe it or not. And, you know, if you're smart with the stuff that you plug in here and use mostly DC items like the USB lights and the 12-volt fan, and stick with those DC powered products, then this can go a long ways. And like I said, I was reading through some of the reviews on Amazon, and people were talking about being able to run their CPAP on this, so I thought that was pretty neat. You can run some smaller items here with this power station, let's say, you know, a phone and laptop and things like that, but, you know, obviously you're not going to be able to run a full-size refrigerator or anything like that, or a washing machine or a heater or none of that. This is just for your smaller items. So my only complaint that I would change on it is I would love to see them add some USB-C PD ports there at the bottom. Ports on there so you can charge a lot of your more higher powered, like that, your little phones and tablets and things like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this video up. I appreciate you guys watching and staying to this whole thing and watching it to the very end. I know it was kind of long and drawn out, but hey, ain't they all. Yeah, I get carried away with testing this stuff, and I have a good time with testing it. And so if you're interested in some of the products that I've got here in the video that I use, those USB lights that I had hanging up over here, I'll put those in a link down in the description. And then if you're interested in the oscilloscope where I checked and made sure that it was pure sine wave, I've got it down in the description. And then also the watt meter, I'll have it down in the description as well, so you can go check those out. And until next time, guys, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Please like and subscribe. See ya.